Hi, my name is Marta and today I'm talking about multifunctional spaces. This video lecture is one of a series of video lectures from Surround, which is a research project that we have been doing. So what are multifunctional spaces, or multifunctionality, which is a related concept? These are spaces or areas with several functions. They may be green or grey spaces. They can be soccer courts that are used for parking lots in case of large events. Or they can be parking lots that are used for market spaces or for large gatherings occasionally. Or there can be concrete parks that function as retention basins or stormwater basins in case of heavy rains. So multifunctional spaces is not a new phenomenon, but the concept is gaining importance. Today I'm talking mostly about green spaces. Green spaces is, in my conception, they may be planned or they may be unplanned, and then I mean official planning. In official planning, we often hear about green infrastructure or blue-green infrastructure, but as mentioned, in my conception, green spaces might also be areas that are not subject to such plans. Behind me here, you see a photo of Sogndal. And I wanted to show you this photo, especially because I think it displays quite well the extent and variety of green spaces that green spaces can have in a town. This picture is from 1983. Today, the same area looks like this. And I'm not going to go into detail to all the changes that have been, but I wanted to show you this to display what urban planning or urban development, how that changes our surroundings. So, just to mention that, there are 36 years in between these two photos. So green spaces, why are they important? If we go to Norwegian planning, we see that often two important functions are emphasized. These are outdoor and physical activity, which are important elements for public or improved public health in the population. And also they serve important functions for improved local air quality, for regulation of stormwater, and for capture and storage of CO2, which are important elements in climate change mitigation and adaptation. However, if we go to the wider literature and assess research from international studies, we find a wider set of functions. These functions are often presented as ecosystem services. Ecosystem services is another concept that is important in nature or environmental management. Ecosystem services are often categorized in three main categories. These are regulating services, covering air quality and water regulation and temperature regulation. The services that we talked about as climate change mitigation and adaptation. And there are providing services covering food and water provision. And there are cultural services, and here we find recreation and physical activity that we were talking about, but also elements such as aesthetics, education, and place identity. However, in addition to these three main categories, urban ecosystems also have important functions for biodiversity, such as bees, butterflies, and birds. And these services might be categorized or under a fourth category called habitat services. Both our findings and other studies conclude that recreational services are often more emphasized than biological values in urban green infrastructure planning. And we often find that biodiversity or habitat services are underemphasized in plans and policies. And this might be because most plans are developed for improving conditions for humans and not for nature. However, we find that green spaces that have a main and hence a primary function often have important secondary functions, several important secondary functions. For instance, as we see here in Sogndal, there have been quite a few orchards historically. We have one orchard here in front, another one up in the back behind the church, up here. And their primary function has, of course, been fruit production. This fruit production has been small scale in a global perspective, but in Norway it has been important. Apart from the scale, especially larger orchards are important also for recreation. They have had important functions as playing areas for children, and of course for insects and bird life. And last but not least, for the place identity of Sogndal. So this is what I talk about when I talk about multifunctional areas. Thank you very much.